Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Weird and Whatever podcast. How is everyone doing today?
Doing well.
Doing well, Mr. Beckett.
It's
Things
hot
good?
outside. It's humid.
It's humid. It is. It's the summertime.
I started riding again.
You started doing what?
Riding horses again.
Oh, well, that's good.
So I was kind of curious about talking maybe later in the podcast about some animal, paranormal, and getting into that.
We can talk. We can talk about whatever you want, Mr. Beckett. Vicky, how the hell are you doing?
I'm very good. Had a great paranormal weekend. Very excited about it.
What was the highlight of your paranormal weekend?
Spirit crossing, actually.
So, for people who don't know what that is, what is spirit crossing?
We had an investigation and we did a cleansing, and I think that I actually helped 5 spirits cross over.
Really?
Yeah.
Tell us what kind of experience is that like? What goes into whatever the heck that is?
Well, the cleansing we did involved sweetgrass, and that was Bobby Joe's portion.
Bobby Joe. So sweetgrass, you say?
Sweetgrass, yes, because I don't use sage, because sage usually tends to make spirits mad. It keeps them quiet for about 3 days, and then after 3 days they come back and they're really mad.
You learn something new every day.
Yeah.
Well, that's good. I just smudged my apartment.
Yeah. No, don't do that next time. We'll do sweetgrass.
All right, got you. Sweetgrass.
Yeah, I
Dennis
find
loves that.
Yeah.
But I find that sage, it works for residual negative living energy left in a location. So if there were like negative people living in your place, then sage is a thing. But if you have spirits in there, it just ticks them off.
Why were they, in your opinion, why were they stuck here on Earth? Why could they not cross over?
The one spirit that we came across this weekend, we think that he might have committed suicide.
Is that a common thing, suicide, not being able to cross over?
Yeah, I mean, we've run into more than one. So we think he committed suicide, and we had to convince him that this isn't where he belongs. He needs to go, and that he's not going to go to hell is basically what we assured him.
And you believe that?
I do believe that. I wouldn't tell that to him if I didn't believe it.
Because there's some people that do believe if you commit suicide,
Right.
you go to hell.
I do think he has a lesson to learn, but I don't think that he necessarily goes to hell.
Do you believe that most purgatory happens because of a religious type context?
Yeah, most people are stuck here because of what they've done, and they think that they're going to be punished severely on the other side.
Okay, so they're stuck here because they are. Oh, and by the way, hey Dennis, how you doing?
How's it going?
We are
Just
jumping.
starting to get real heavy real quick.
We did. We just jumped
0
right
to
into
100
it.
real
Okay,
quick.
Enough with the hellos. Go on, Vicky. This is very interesting.
But what we basically did to all the spirits that were there, we convinced them that living here was just as much hell as it would be if they were to go to the other way.
So
Because they're stuck.
You cite religion here. Now, are you talking about, is that a concept for whatever religion they believe?
What they believe, yes.
What if it's an atheist that commits suicide?
I haven't come across one of them yet. So far, people who have committed crimes or committed suicide, they tend to have had a strong religious belief system in place. And that's what has kept them from going over.
Do you think it's an organized religion kind of a thing, or do you think this is just a spiritual thing to cleanse them? For example, let's say it was someone that believes in Christianity and they commit suicide. Is all of their problems based in their religion, or is it a bigger picture than that?
I think their reason for not going to the light was based on their religious beliefs.
But that's a personal thing for them. That's keeping them back. Okay.
Right.
Interesting.
Well, it's interesting because in Christianity, suicide is a major sin. I don't know if that's classified as one of the the major sins, but it's a major sin. And the big thing with Christianity is you've asked forgiveness.
Right.
And in theory, you don't have a chance to ask for forgiveness.
Right.
So is that kind of what you're doing? Is when they're in that purgatory, you're kind of helping them?
Yeah, we talked to them. As a matter of fact, he was the most reluctant of the spirits that we came across that night. He was the last one to join into the circle that we made in order to help them cross. And he actually apologized to me for the trouble he had caused in this house since he's been a spirit. And he was actually the first one to actually go up, which was phenomenal.
Danny's got this is some heavy stuff. Danny, what's your opinion on all this?
I guess it makes sense to me. I mean, if you're afraid if you come from a really religious background, you feel like you've done some things that are in your own head that nobody knows about that you've kept, and you're worried about that, it's going to make moving to the next step pretty difficult because you're afraid you'll be punished.
It's almost kind of like you bring whatever you have into the afterlife or your death, or what Denny's believes in and what I believe in may be different. So when we experience death, if there is that crossover, whatever, purgatory, whatever that may be, It's what your viewpoint is. And I've heard people talk about that before. Their heaven, their afterlife, it's what you want it to be.
Right.
But is that, once again, human man-made thought where, oh, it's all going to be okay because that's what I want. I'll see my pet. I'll play baseball with Babe Ruth. Is that what humans tell themselves to make them feel better?
Right. There was a quote in the book, and it's supposedly quoting a spirit, and he's referring to the Bible and God's word, and he says, it's exactly what I said, but it's not the way you took it.
Ooh.
So the Bible's been interpreted, reinterpreted, changed language and all those things throughout the years. And I do believe, absolutely, before people start throwing hate mail at me, I do absolutely believe in God. I was brought up religious. I just think that maybe we don't have the story exactly right. And I prefer to think of my God as a kind and forgiving God.
And I think you have that right. I mean, I think people, there's definitely people who have a different view than that. They think, it's very strict. Some people are still, they still go with the Old Testament with their rules, depending on who you ask.
Right.
So it's very so fascinating what everybody believes, and I love this stuff.
The way I approach it is that you can't change it, whatever, even if he's a spiteful God or a loving God, forgiving God. So you might as well just go through life hoping and assuming he's a forgiving God, because if not, you're just going to walk around depressed.
Oh, yeah.
Denny's, I know you've got a strong opinion on religion. When you hear people say, all this stuff about the religion and that's what they're basing every move of their life, how do you take that?
Yeah, it's kind of tricky to say that I have an issue with religion as I do.
And I didn't mean to say that. I'm not saying you're against religion. I'm just, you have a different viewpoint.
Yeah, I just look at it from different. I've kind of interpreted it my own way, how I feel would work the best for me. So, that's totally my opinion, no one else's. And I actually like religion. I like that there is things for people to believe in, because I feel like when you stop believing in things, that's when you get your darkest. You have to have something, and I don't care what it is. I just don't like people pushing
their
theirs
agenda
on me.
I get you.
Because I'm like, well, what I believe works for me. Why am I going to try to change this?
Yeah, we've talked about that before. A human without hope is a dark...
You've lost everything.
Everybody needs hope, man. Even if you're just... It's Monday and you hate going to work, just making little... Okay, I got plans with my buddy on Friday. Just little things to make sure you're aligned with peaceful thoughts.
Otherwise, there's nothing else there for you. What are you gonna...
I've been around people who have lost hope, and nothing you can say can reach them. And it actually makes you kind of hopeless in a sense. They take your energy and suck it out. It's weird.
They're a husk of a person.
Yeah, I believe that we all got to find hope, even if it's the smallest bit.
Yeah.
So we got some emails. We got a lot of topics to discuss. I hope you guys are ready to talk. We've got things like the Mandela effect. Have you guys heard of the Mandela effect?
Yeah, I looked it up yesterday when you told us we were going to talk about it.
It's a cool theory.
So, Dennis, you go ahead and take the Mandela effect, because you actually brought it up to me a while ago, and somebody put great job on the Facebook stuff, Vicky. You're doing a great job putting stuff up there. Spirit Award again. You guys need to take some notes. Spirit Award.
I like the pun.
Yeah, exactly. But somebody asked about this exact thing. Please, go on.
Well, it's a phenomenon where people misinterpret history, and it's a phenomenon where they all believe the same thing, misinterpreted. Like I believe it's coined from a blogger from back in the day, but there was a convention. I did some reading on it as well as far as the history, but there was a convention, and everybody thought Nelson Mandela was dead, where the name was coined from.
He died in prison.
That he died in prison. Everybody thought he died in prison in the early 90s. And, in fact, he was still alive. He didn't die until 2013, I believe. So it was just weird that a bunch of people recalled this event happening, even though it never did. And they also, the other examples that are pretty popular are like the Berenstein Bears or the Bernstein Bears or whatever.
Yeah, the spelling of the name.
The spelling of the name.
The Queen song.
Oh, and a big one for you would be in Star Wars, The Empire Strikes Back, the famous line, "Luke, I am your father," was never even uttered in the movie, but that's how everybody remembers.
I just saw a shirt, I believe at Target, that said, "Luke, I am your father," and it's wrong.
It's wrong, but...
but then it goes into the reason why this is happening. It's not because there's all this misinformation and that there's an alternate reality.
Parallel universes crossing over, causing this phenomenon.
My mind's blown that he didn't say, Luke, I'm not your father. I didn't even know that.
He says no.
He goes, no.
I'm your father.
I'm your father. Yeah. There's a lot of lines like that. And I was talking a little bit about this with Vicky before the podcast, and she rolled her eyes just like she did when Dennis was talking about this whole theory, saying, I just think it's a bunch of people getting their facts mixed up.
Well, I think the Star Wars one, I think it was a marketing thing. I think somebody wanted to make T-shirts, and they wanted to make sure that everybody knew it was related to Star Wars, so they threw the Luke in there.
So because I was trying to grasp it, what do they mean by saying there's another reality or there's parallel realities, and that's why people are getting this messed up? Explain that in the dumbest terms possible, because it blew my mind too.
I guess the easiest way you could explain it, just simplifying it to two universes. So you have two universes, kind of like if you look at the Olympic rings, how they cross over. There's occasional crossover, and that's how they. When I was talking about that string theory that I liked, that's how they explain gravity. That it was dispersed amongst the realities. That's why it doesn't crush you in one of them, even though it can hold a planet in place.
So are they saying people jump back and forth into reality
No, but like messages get crossed. I guess the easiest way you could think of it is like if you're like on a television, interlaced television, it draws every line opposite of each other. So I mean, technically you could have memories from another one crossing over of a different outcome than is actually correct.
Beckett looks blown away.
Mind blown.
It was too much for me. I'm watching it. I'm like, I don't know if I get this completely.
But it's kind of like when the radio dial, like it's on the not the right frequency.
The frequency.
And you're
Exactly.
getting two radio stations at the same time.
Exactly.
You're driving in your car,
and
you're
that's
going,
why there's the misconception of shit.
That people would mix it up if it so happened that I guess the energies were aligned right, that it would cross over at that point.
I'm on Vicky's side. This is bullshit.
No, I think it's just a bunch of people who got something wrong and they told their friends.
Yeah.
And then you know how people don't like to be wrong, so they argue it. Just like the one example was the
For
line
sure.
in the Queen song that it actually says of the world at the end.
Yeah,
well,
of
it
the
says
world.
it during the song, so people just kind of assume and they want to say that.
It just
you
sounds
know,
like
of the world.
bad information. Yeah.
Well, now I do think we're in a parallel universe because now Vicky and Jason are the skeptics.
Yeah. I'm like, no, man, it's parallel.
I believe pretty much in anything. I don't believe in that shit. I don't think it's that good.
I think that's where he draws the line in the sand.
Yeah, you're right. Bigfoot,
Yeah.
totally believe it. Parallel. No, it's not that I don't believe in the parallel universes. I don't like how you're explaining it to me. How that's how we're getting information. It's just crossing over. That the frequencies are different. I don't like it.
Well, I mean, you don't have to like it. I'm
I
just
like
saying.
it, Denny's.
That's kinda like how
Denny's, get out. I don't like it.
Another big example, I believe, the Monopoly guy does not
Yes.
wear a monocle.
He does, I always thought he had the monocle. He does not.
He does not. That is a misconception. There's another Mandela effect for
Or
you.
is that just the universe getting crossed over? Why is the universe crossing over about the Monopoly guy? Who gives a shit?
Well, it's parallel universes. I mean, they're very similar. I think it's just, I mean, the theory is that it spreads across all planes and that there's not only two, that there's actually multiple.
yeah.
So, I mean, think of it like negative. When you look at a photo, you're actually seeing, you know, the colorized version of it, but it's the negative is what it's printed from. The negative is the same exact thing, just inverted colors. So you can think of it like that.
Yeah, but think of how many times have you read something and you go back and like, wait, and you read it again. Oh, I read it wrong the first time.
Yeah.
I think it's just a bunch of people getting things wrong. I thought of one because I was racking my brain to see if I could come up with one that was related to me. And I said to Bobby Joe, I said,
Bobby
you know,
Joe.
when I could swear that when I was younger that they were called sugar smacks instead of honey smacks. So I was thinking, oh, I got an example.
were.
But no, they actually were.
And then they
So I
changed the
wasn't
name.
wrong. So it wasn't a good example, but it's little things like that.
Captain Crunch is actually Lieutenant Crunch. It's not Captain Crunch. I'm totally messing with you guys.
Yeah.
But this brings me to my next point. So you guys are, it seems like me and Vicky are not with the Mandela effect. I don't even know if you guys are either. I think
Well, you can still believe in the Mandela effect and might not believe in the parallel universe
That's
aspect.
what I
That's
mean.
just an aspect that was brought into why this could possibly be.
So let me ask you this. Do you guys believe in collective consciousness where, okay, for example, you get 7,000 people praying for I don't know, compassion, for peace, and all of a sudden, because all of them are doing that together, it moves the needle in whatever you're trying to pray for. Do you believe that that's a spiritual thing, or is that just people collectively praying with the same goal, and that's why changes could be made? I guess what I'm saying is, could you get groups of people to pray or to do whatever that activity is to get to the, you know, the spiritual side, can that actually move the needle and get things done?
I mean, we talked about this. We touched on it before. I think that anytime you put a lot of energy into something, that would be a lot of brain power if everybody got together and we're thinking collectively on one specific thing. I think it's possible.
Is that a spiritual thing?
I think it's a combination of spiritual and just our minds.
Our minds.
The power of our minds.
Well, trying to achieve a goal. So if us four started praying for, you know, world peace, for example, and we started seeing world peace and more people started doing that, it would be because it's not this spiritual thing going on, although you're saying it could be both, but it's also just people with like minds trying to get an agenda pushed.
Right, especially if you all are concentrating at the same time, whatever negative things you normally would be doing at that time, you're not doing it. You're putting into positive energy towards your goal.
Committing crimes either.
Yeah, you're going towards your goal.
I get that. Do you guys believe in the power of prayer?
I believe in the psychology of it, and the spiritual side, I'm not so sure.
So you believe prayer makes you feel better as a human, but it may not actually cure yourself or...
I would be willing to say that there's some placebo that goes on in that it's effective. I don't know that it's effective because of a spiritual reason. I just don't know that. I'm just in a headspace where I don't deny it or accept it, really, I guess is the good space we're at.
It's a controversial thing because some people really, really say prayers, no, they totally work. And then what you're saying, you know, is it really working, or is it more of the placebo because you think it's working?
Placebo, psychological, because I grew up playing sports, and just the visualization of things like that basketball shot or, you know, hitting the ball. Like, I think that has a lot of validity in just basic science and psychology.
So you're at psychology more on that. Okay, what about you, Vicky? You're a spiritual person.
You're not going to hear this too often, but I agree with that. We're switching it all up today.
So okay, if you don't mind, elaborate a little bit on your viewpoints on praying.
Well, I think that, again, it has to do with your mind putting something towards the desired result. I know I hear people say, well, I was praying that such and such would happen, and it's somebody actually just went to the doctor and they got the right medication. You know, I feel like maybe it wasn't the prayer, it was that the fact you went to the doctor and the doctor prescribed you the right medication. I'm not sure that was exactly divine intervention.
Could you throw prayer and healing into the same category? I mean, I think we talked about healing before, and I think were you were pro healing, weren't you? You believe in that?
I think people can. I think they can. But again, I think it all has to do with the mind and what you're visualizing and what your goal is and all that energy going towards that goal.
Denny's, your thoughts?
I'm with them. The placebo effect is very, it works.
It does work.
It truly works.
It does work.
But I'm also big on like people, or just energy in general, vibrating. I'm very big on the vibration theory. So, I mean, if everybody's vibrating at a positive frequency, of course that's going to produce some sort of result, I would imagine.
I would imagine too. And I guess, you know, the person that wrote me, they really wanted to know if you thought that was a spiritual thing making it work, or was that just humans collectively working together with one goal?
It's probably a combination of both.
Yeah, that's always the easy way. It's a combination of both worlds.
But it is, though. I think on both fronts it works well.
Well, like Beckett said, you know, if you're feeling down and out, okay, let's say you got a loved one that's dying in the hospital, which a lot of people do. You know, it's a terrible thing. That praying gives them solace. And why would anyone want to? Whether that's going to make.
Why would you take that?
Yeah. Why? Yeah. It may not heal that person. It may not do anything. I remember I prayed every single day as my mom was on her deathbed for 7 days. I prayed, please make her come out of it. Now, did it help? No, it didn't. But in the moment, it made me feel better. And I think that's what you're trying to say.
Yeah. Whether it's journaling or meditating or talking to a friend or another loved one or praying, like all those things I think have overlap in terms of how they can be healing for that person.
Let's see. We're going to read some emails. We do have some complaints, too. You want to go in the emails? You want to go in the complaints first?
Is the complaint my laugh again?
Well, I did. Your complaint was, of course, Vicky got no complaints.
Thank
All right,
you.
so for Beckett. So every time Beckett laughs on all episodes, he almost blows out my car speakers out. It makes the speakers do this crackling sound. With that said, it doesn't make me love Jaybird or any of his shows any less.
Maybe Jaybird wrote that.
I did not write that. And I like your laugh, to be quite honest with you.
There's a cough button here for when you cough. Maybe we can give me a laugh button.
I don't think you need to change anything you're doing. In fact, that goes for anybody.
Yeah.
Everyone be themselves.
Laugh harder.
Laugh in the microphone. I think it's funny when people complain, man.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe I have a future of being Santa Claus in the mall when I'm older.
Denny's, you want to hear some bullshit about you?
Yeah, let's get it. Let's hear it.
Okay, dear, and this, Angelica is our producer that's running the KVJ TV. She's got a follow up to pile on to you, Beckett.
Okay.
Someone's calling you out for some shit you said last week.
Oh, jeez.
It has to do with the moon. Very controversial, this moon stuff. Okay, dear Weird and Whatever, could you guys talk a little bit more why Denny's thinks the moon landing was fake? I know he smokes a lot of dope, so I guess I understand why he has stupid opinions. My dad worked in the military and hated when people spoke ill of the moon landing. Tell Denny's to stop watching stupid propaganda and tell him to stop hitting the damn bong. Ed from Wellington.
I can't make promises on either of those.
Can you, because we were rushed a little bit, and I had some other comments saying, Denny's, shut the hell up about this moon landing.
Dude, people get sad when they hear the facts, man. The moon landing, the original one, was shot in a studio. I watched the video where they had the props from it. It's literally shot in an attempt to make sure that America was number first to get to the moon.
Goes to your theory. You said, we have telescopes, we can see all sides of the moon. You can't see every part of the moon. We can't.
Not at one time.
People, Angelica, what was that comment? They were calling you out saying that you cannot see, well, even if you can't see the moon at one time, if you can't see everything going on at one time, there could be some shit we're missing.
Only if it's moving.
Okay, Angelica, what was your comment?
It's actually the moon's orbit lines exactly with the axis, so it makes us only see one side of the moon at all times.
Okay, but that's from a telescope, but we have...
But that's my point, though. We're going on... If we can't see what's going on here on Earth...
That's interesting. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
With the telescope.
My point is, just because we were able to go on the moon doesn't mean there's not a space station there. We as humans down here on Earth, we can't monitor the moon 24 hours a day. There's just no way we could do that. Average Joes like me and you can't do that. You have to go out there. You have to do all this shit that you have to have privilege to get out there.
Right.
We don't have that. So we're never going to know the real answers. They'll tell you.
Satellites do, though.
Dude, satellites miss everything.
And that's definitely a fact, for sure. You can't at no point.
There was an Apollo 13 went to go see the other side of the moon, and it showed that the other side was actually much thicker than the side that we're seeing now.
And I'm not saying satellites are bad or anything. They're great, but they're just a machine, and they're a small machine against this vast, big whatever the hell the moon is.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be hard to see everything that's going on there. That's all I think.
I get it.
The moon people are saying.
It's a fair pushback, but I don't think there's any pushback against multiple countries, not just NASA.
Sure.
That we've mapped the entire moon. The moon in the scheme of things, compared to the other things that we've done in Mars and Universe and what we're doing with the sun and rovers and the Hubble and all these other things, like the moon is just kind of like. We're kind of like, we're kind of over it. It's just.
But are we over it because that's what that's what people want us to believe? Oh, don't worry about the moon. Meanwhile, while we're not worried about the moon, there's a space station going up there. I really do believe that the moon has a space station on there. There's part of the moon that's there. I know I sound crazy.
Why do we go to the other space station?
What do you mean?
The real space station.
No, a space station that's made by aliens. This is not human moon. This is where aliens are going, and that's why the theory is the reason because it's so close to Earth. That's why aliens are able to jet right from the moon, come down to Earth, and jet right back up.
But you know how we have crowdsourcing, and like you have people that give content, like whether it's Yelp reviews or things like that. That's crowdsourcing, right? And the great thing since Galileo and even before him is we have people with telescopes. So it's not just NASA. It's not even if you believe the government has something nefarious going on or something to cover up or conspiracy. You have people like you and I, that's a hobby, and they're staring at the moon, and now they're videoing the moon. So
but
like,
I don't think we can get the entire moon from where we're at. I don't think we're ever going to be able to do. I don't think.
but when you see like something coming back and forth, if there's something,
Some people do though. That's the thing. These NASA scientists, these NASA astronauts, people who've done this before, they say we were up at the moon. We've seen things fly. We did not know what they were. It wasn't space trash. It wasn't this. It wasn't that. We didn't know what it was. We felt like it was something else.
interesting.
Yeah.
Well, see, I think this whole thing's simply explained. Denny's just was in the Mandela effect when he thought he saw that the moon landing was fake. It just explains
Well,
it
I think
all.
it's kind of like fake news. It gets repeated, right? And
For-
it gets
for sure.
repeated, and then people start believing it. And
Look, what I'm saying here, I have no idea. I'm just a crazy guy with a theory. But it wouldn't shock me if there was a space station from aliens on that moon. Vicky, what's your thoughts on that?
it wouldn't shock you.
It would not shock
Oh
me.
come on!
It wouldn't shock me either.
It wouldn't shock
You
me.
would come into work mind blown.
I would be excited, and I would be, I told you, son of a bitches.
You would definitely
so-
be like that, but I think there would be some element of surprise.
Look, I really do believe that we are not alone. I don't think that.
I don't think we're alone.
And I think we've been visited here. I think aliens go in and out, and I think more. I think there is a cover up on that because I don't think people know how to handle this shit. I really don't.
Right, absolutely. And it wouldn't shock me at all if they discovered that. I mean,
It would shock you.
It would shock the hell out of me.
Love it.
Is it amazing that the girl that is helping us, the intern, her name's Angel, and we have a Spirit Spot podcast? I just realized
Yeah,
that.
Angelica, but yeah, angels are based, and she's now the official producer.
She's our guardian angel
Yeah.
as our producer.
I get paid in compliments.
She gets paid her compliments, and it's that we're on a budget here in the Weird or Whatever podcast. Thank you, Angelica. That was
Thank
very,
you.
That was very good stuff.
and I do want to bring up, last week we were talking about crop circles.
Yes.
And I do want to bring up, because you had mentioned about things in sand, and there actually are the Nazca lines in Peru, which are these intricate drawings that were actually done in sand.
Oh, interesting.
So you
Interesting.
might want to look that up.
We got some more emails. Denny's, you missed a lot in here.
I was listening in.
Okay. Could you guys talk? Oh, that I already read that. Do you guys believe in destiny, or do you think free will is how things really are? I heard people say it's all God's plan when it comes to the outcome of our life. So if it's God's plan, doesn't that throw free will out the window?
I think we have free will here, and I think we also have free will on the other side as well. I think we get to make choices. I believe that our ultimate end is already determined.
You do.
But
so
the
you,
path to there, I think we have choices.
so Beckett's ending is already set in stone. No matter what he does on this planet, his ending's already sealed.
That's just my belief.
Yeah, okay,
I think
that's what I'm
the,
asking.
Yeah, I think that the ending is already, we know how the end, he knows what the ending is. It's just the choices that lead up to there.
Beckett?
I disagree.
Okay, let me hear your
I think
theory.
that if I go out, take shots, don't put my seatbelt on, and drive 200 miles per hour in my truck, I'm more likely to end my life than if I do the opposite of that. You know,
So you think it is free will? Whatever you do on this planet is pretty much your
Yeah.
own destiny.
Yeah, and I'll qualify that I say at this point in my life, I'm 34 now. I was way on that side younger. I was like, more free will. You make your own luck. You get lucky sometimes, but you really kind of make your own luck. But now I qualify that by saying that I have had things that have happened in life where I'm like, that's way too coincidental just to be coincidental.
For sure.
So I'm interested. I just think that whether it's business or success or death, I think that it's a lot to do with your decisions.
I agree with Beckett on this. I don't think our deaths are already predetermined. I think there's a spiritual side to things, but I think that on this plane, this Earth, I think this is such a weird. Earth is just weird anyway.
Mm-hmm.
I think you do make your own mark when it comes to stuff like that.
Yeah.
Denny's.
Well, I mean, this is where it gets a little tricky because technically, Vicky could be correct if it's already predetermined that you were going to, take shots, get in a car, and drive 200 miles an hour. That would already be predetermined.
That was already written.
That you were going to hear something in your life that would offend you so much that you're like, I'm going to prove this, and you do something, and then obviously die, and maybe that was already written for you.
Mm-hmm.
I'm also on the sense that I am purely free will. I am not any sort of predetermined destination of any sort.
Right.
So I feel like we kind of just wander and make our own paths.
I kind of feel that
But, I mean,
too. Not to cop out, maybe it's a little bit of both. I don't know if I like that answer, but yeah, I do go against Vicky on this one. Sorry, Vicky.
I don't think it's predetermined.
It had to happen sometime.
Weird or whatever drama, man. I love it.
But I mean, it could be either. That's a complete gamble. You have no idea. It's rolling on black or red.
Oh, sure. I mean, none of us know. That's what's fascinating about all. No, I always say, be careful of the man or woman that says they have absolute knowing of everything.
Oh,
Right.
for sure.
Well, it's kind of like, it's like quantum physics. Like, that's all. A lot of quantum physics is theory.
Oh,
it's
for sure.
deeply
It's-
rooted in science, like deeply, like by amazingly intelligent people.
Well, all of this starts off as a theory, and then they try to prove it with math.
Right.
So everything's a theory originally.
It's just so funny to me that people have, and even in this room, we have all different opinions on things, but there are some people, if you got a different opinion on what they believe, oh my gosh, it's like you ripped out their organ or something.
Right.
I mean, to me, I like that Denny's and Beckett don't think the same on everything. And you guys don't want to rip each other's organs out, do you?
No.
You guys are so peaceful. Alien abductions. Let's talk a little bit about that. Now, I know you love that fire. You always bring up Fire in the Sky.
Yeah. No, I hated that movie when
You
I
hate
saw
it?
it. I mean, I loved it, but it freaked me out.
Do you think the people that are claiming that aliens have come down to Earth and have diddled them or done tests on them, whether they stay down here and perform tests or have sucked them up into space, into a spaceship, bullshit, just trying to get some attention, or is there legit? Is there something behind this?
I think it's a little bit of both.
Damn you, Becky!
No, but in all seriousness, I think there are some people that want attention.
Yeah, for sure.
I think there's people that want attention, and I think that it's very, very possible that what happens is that those people that want attention, unfortunately, give the people that it potentially really happened, and there's some credible evidence of it happening, it gives them lack of credibility because of all those people, even if it's only 5%.
It does hurt the credibility.
It does.
I mean, I've seen interviews before, and these people seem so credible, so sincere, but we don't know them. They could be the greatest actors of all time. I want it to be real.
It's kind of like you were talking about with psychics, like where they've called out psychics, and like you have some psychics that are doing amazing work and are really genuine and aren't taking money or trying to sell this snake oil.
Yeah.
But then you have the other person that just gets totally called out, and you're like, oh, which makes you skeptical of everything.
It does. Do you ever get that? And I apologize if I ever repeat any questions. That's just how my mind is. Like, a lot going on in here. Have you ever had someone call you out, Vicky, for saying you're a shyster or anything like that?
No, because I never take anything from anybody. So what am I trying to
That's a good
shyst them
point.
for?
That's a good point. Maybe
So-
their time. I don't know.
Yeah.
I
No,
hear you.
no.
Okay.
They have. I've been fortunate enough, and I have to say, especially with this podcast, I mean, I'm booked up into July now.
Wow.
And there's so many people that are contacting me. I've met so many nice people, and have even more to meet.
That's great. Well, that's awesome. We all can, get more people in our lives for a positive thing. We don't want negative.
Right.
Denny's, your thoughts on alien abductions? Here comes our skeptic.
Well, all right. So let me think. I guess it could be possible. I find it hard to believe that aliens are coming down, taking people, testing on them, and then just returning them.
Why?
But I mean, all right, so you could argue that with the fact that we grab like dolphins out of the water and we test them and then we throw them back in the water. We're trying to be cool. But I mean, as far as an alien coming down and like captivating or, capturing you and taking you up, I feel like it's more likely like an entity or something larger that's like making you disappear and then come back. More so than somebody coming and whatever, sedating you and taking you off into the night.
Well, some people do believe that aliens could be spiritual beings, that they have already been on this planet impregnating us, doing all, spreading the seed. Maybe we are part alien. I mean, how would that blow your mind, Becky, to find out that you're part alien?
That'd be awesome.
That would explain a lot of shit, man, for me anyway.
But yeah, just abductions. I don't know, man. Like, there's just been so much.
But if it happens here on Earth with us being dicks, taking out dolphins, putting a chip on a shark or a dolphin, seeing where they go, what if we're just dolphins to them? What if we're just fish
Well, that's
to
what
them?
I'm saying. I could see how they would do that, why they would do that, to test on us, to see, all right, let's see how these guys are. And then we go to another galaxy and they're testing these guys.
There's that one story that the person said they were abducted by aliens, and then they put a chip in their wrist. And the special that I was watching, they were showing there's like this little weird chip in their arm. But I mean,
But here, think about it. What wasn't it? Lucille Ball? Didn't she think that the government was talking to her through her feelings? Wasn't that her?
I don't
You guys heard this?
Throw a lot of
Lucille
days.
Ball from I Love Lucy. Look it up at some point. I'll do some research on it. But like that was, I'm more convinced that humans are doing tests on humans than I am.
Well, that's happening
almost
regardless.
spiritual.
I think we all know that.
But I mean, that could easily be misconstrued as an alien abduction. It's crazy. It's loud. There's lights. Whatever they're doing to sedate you and take you out and then put you back.
I think you have to look at the history of it. If you go back to one of the first known cases, Barney and Betty, I forget their last name, that was a time period where they lost a lot of friends and credibility by coming out and saying that that happened to them. There was no gain for them. That wasn't, now if you say you're abducted, hey, that's a cool thing. Let's go have them on the radio show and interview them. Back then, that wasn't cool.
Back then, it was bad. It was damaging.
That was horrible for them to come out with that.
People thought you were crazy,
Right.
and your reputation was ruined.
Right. So I do think that there have been true abductions.
Yeah, there was a lot of them, a lot of abductions between the 40s and 60s, it seems like, just because
We were really into space though then.
into space, but also too there was a lot of army stuff going on with weapons and
military,
and
and a
weapons,
lot of secret stuff.
a lot of secret stuff, and a lot of people believe. Again, when I say a lot of people, I mean me. That all of that, missile testing, nuclear testing. They upstairs didn't like it, meaning the aliens, whoever they may be, and they're like, what the hell are these humans doing? Let me drive down there and see what the hell are you guys doing? No, bad humans, we're not doing this. And they almost said, you guys need to shut this down or we're going to shut it down for you. There are people that totally believe that. These are people in the military that said, guys, when we were building nuclear shit, that's when a lot of stuff started showing up in the sky.
Like I said, I think one of our first podcasts, I think that is the only, not the only way, but for sure the most immediate way to have world peace is an Independence Day type scenario where we have an outside threat. They use that in fraternity hazing. They use that in the military where the drill sergeant is a jerk to everyone and everyone bonds together. So like all of a sudden, like, who cares about Kim Jong-un in North Korea or Russia and Putin? Like, we hope, like, bring them on.
We're Team Human, damn it.
Yeah, exactly. Like, they're coming through. And, like, so if we had an outside force that was negative, all of a sudden everyone would be together and all of our problems would seem small. Yeah. Like, the Gaza Strip would not seem like a big deal at that point.
Because we had bigger fish to fry at that point.
And then you put away the petty squabbles.
Right.
That was a quote from Ronald Reagan years ago, and I think he has reported to have seen a UFO.
Jimmy Carter as well. They, I never heard that Reagan saw a UFO, but I do know that him and Gorbachev sat down, and there was some type of alien-like treaty they both signed together.
Interesting.
Very, look that up, please. And if I'm wrong on any of that, please email me, which I'm sure you will. But let me know. I'm almost, but it's interesting to hear Reagan's. I'd never heard him say that.
Yeah.
I know Jimmy Carter said that he saw something he did not know.
Yeah,
and
but he definitely said the quote that the only thing that would bring us together as a world would be an outside alien, some kind of invasion from the outside would bring us all together.
Why are two big world leaders talking about alien? I don't know. Oh.
Beckett did say, though, science fiction was very big at that time, and if you're seeing, secret, top secret, I'm not against the alien
kissing
theory.
Beckett's ass.
I'm not against the alien theory. I'm just saying, if they're testing out new spacecrafts that they could spy on other countries with, and somebody saw that, of course they're going to think it's some sort of.
Okay, well, how about this? Back in the day, with cultures all over, we touched upon this last week. They would have drawings of ships and them, looking up at stuff. And I know what the naysayers are going to say. They were just drawn falling stars or whatever. But some of the drawings that in olden times that were drawn on caves and shit, it looks like a UFO coming down to Earth.
Right.
What are your? If you were a debunker.
All right, so think about how creative humans are by nature. Like, we create music, we make television, we make cinema, all that fun stuff. You don't think cavemen had the same, like, they just didn't know how to articulate it? Yeah, they had nothing else to do.
You think cavemen are just like looking around?
They're probably writing stories
like,
for their kids.
It'd be really cool if a ship came out of that sky.
They're like, what if, flying dinosaur ship?
He's a village artist.
Are you able to talk about something in your life if you've never had if you don't know the concept of aliens and outer space? how can you go
Yeah,
ahead
but I
and
mean,
say that?
Well,
lot of-
Michael Bay does Transformers,
But-
and
but there's
Stan Lee does all the superheroes.
But there was concepts already as a kid. They grew up with superheroes, and there was already stuff in the air. What I'm saying is, back when the beginning of time, you just got cavemen running around. How are you going to report on spaceships if you've never seen them?
Think about like the Greek mythology and Roman mythology. That was old as fuck, and they were talking about like flying griffins and unicorns. Essentially, they're just exaggerations of animals, like larger or smaller, to make.
Yeah,
them
but there
slightly
still was
different.
the base. The animals were the base. What Jason's saying is
Is it
that they had
completely fabricated thing?
completely. There was nothing that they could have drawn on that they had at that time in order to create that. Whereas you
Because,
can see
yeah.
the mythical animals, they're using the regular animals as a base.
Exactly, yeah. Like Stan Lee, he made Spider-Man, but Stan Lee grew up in a time where they're talking about UFOs and heroes and all kind of shit like that. So he had that base to be able to create something. If you don't have a base, how are you able to create it?
Well, maybe the base was the shooting star. Maybe the base was the story about a god.
That's what the naysayers always say. That the UFO that we draw, or that they drew in olden cultures, was the falling star. And I'm not
Let's
debating
just
that
not,
at all.
not rule it out, you know.
I'm not
just
ruling.
saying.
I'm not. I am not ruling it out. And if I give anyone a hard time, it's because I'm just busting balls here.
Yeah.
But I love everyone's opinion.
I would say that it's you know, you can't go back to Egyptian times and debunk something per se, obviously. But you could say, if you had to bet your life or something on it, you would look at the body of evidence. Okay, there's no foreign elements that were left around. Like, there's nothing that's not on our periodic chart that was left there. There's, you could say things. You're like, oh well, they line things up with technology that they didn't have back then, or that we're not aware that they had back then. And so you could kind of go both ways. But I think if I was betting my life on it, I would lean towards the
Damn, so
naysaying.
you guys are just telling me cavemen were just creative sons of bitches.
I just
All
like
right,
to look at it from
okay.
both sides of the fence. It could be either one. But so the one thing I find hard about aliens, and I mean, I do believe that there is aliens,
You
that
do.
there is life on other planets. I just wonder if they're in the galaxy we're in, the Milky Way. You know, so I mean,
And
that's,
you just wonder if they've been here.
and if they've been here,
I
maybe
can
they
level
came
on that
here
theory.
once. It's really far, so they're like, I don't know if I want to go back to Earth. It's so far. I could get that. Like, I imagine aliens, if they're smart enough, they would reason with each other. So I mean, maybe they came here once, checked out something, and
this
those are the
sucks.
tales we've been talking
Yeah,
about. They're
Earth,
like, dude,
what-
these guys are crazy.
Earth is the equivalent to Yeehaw Junction. Like, there's
Right.
nothing out here. I don't
Right.
like
It's
it.
That's what I'm saying.
It's like one of my favorite Yogi Berra quotes. No one goes to that restaurant anymore. It's always too crowded.
Yeah. But the one thing I will say is with the paranormal, with ghosts, that is like all across the world. There's all through Japanese culture, Russian culture, there is evidence of possible spirits. So that one's
They
a lot
even mention
more
the word ghost is actually in the Bible,
Well,
and not referring to the
to
Holy,
Holy Ghost. Yeah.
it's funny you
It's-
say that, because the same thing could be applied with Bigfoot, Sasquatch sightings, where
Mm-hmm.
all cultures.
Well, funny enough, for my homework, and we don't have to get into it right now,
Get
but
into it, baby.
they just discovered a new fish that no one's ever seen. It's
Oh.
a faceless fish. So
I talk about this shit all the time on the regular show, on the KVJ show. Oh, yeah, there's a new species they found. They're like, it's not sexy enough. People want the alien marched in here, and they want the alien to go, take me to your leader. That's the only way people are going to be convinced.
So there's a new fish. So I mean, there's not to say that there's not creatures we haven't seen.
I personally think Loch Ness Monster and Bigfoot is probably your more believable concepts, because, I mean, who is to say you don't have Bigfoot running amok? And the reason why we can't find that species is because we're not good enough. We're not good enough at hunting them, because their survival skills are off the chart. Even to go a further step with the aliens. Everyone always says, oh, you can't get in that amount of time because it's so, millions and millions of light years. How the hell do we know with our human brain, I think it's been shown that we're not always right, how do we know that they're not just way more advanced than us? They
For
can
sure.
get to A to B like that because they've got the technology, because they're smarter, they're better,
They
they're
absolutely
quicker.
could. Like I said, I'm not disagreeing with the fact that aliens could have came here at one point.
Danny's, you're
Possibly the 60s.
kind of
50s.
being a dick.
What if
But you
they-
know what ruins it all? People who fake stuff.
You're right.
They ruin everything, every bit of credibility for Bigfoot and Loch Ness and everything else. There's always somebody
Aliens.
that has to mess with it and fake with
And
something.
now in the day of YouTube, everybody and their mother literally can make
Technology.
you can make crazy videos on your phone now in 10 minutes.
Yeah, like Blair
Yeah.
Witch. Blair Witch was
Yeah.
crazy.
Oh yeah.
What if Bigfoot's a ghost?
Look, Denny's.
Yeah, what if he's a spirit?
I'm not ruling anything out. I'm not ruling it all out. That's a very good debate. That's very good. Time travel. Let's get into that. We haven't talked about time travel so much.
I like time travel because intelligent people that, like Einstein, for example, tended to somewhat believe in time travel.
So here's an email I got from somebody, and then I'd like to get everyone's thoughts. Dear Weird and Whatever, do you guys believe in the possibility of time travel? I had an uncle who swore he was from a different time. Nobody ever believed him, and he died of a heart attack at the age of 24. He was definitely an odd guy, and it seemed like he never could relate to the people around him. What are your guys' thoughts on something like this?
That sounds more like reincarnation, though. Because it says he's from a different time. I mean, did he say just show up one day and say, I just came here from 1875?
It was a longer email, and I did edit a lot of it out. And he said that, yes, he had come here from the future, I can't remember, but he was saying that he was a time traveler. Is that him just, being, hey, I'm just trying to razz my nephew? Or is this a possibility? Time travel?
I hope.
That's
my biggest thing.
I can get on board with the Einstein theory and what he said, maybe. Although that hasn't been disproven or proven, but I think that guy was crazy, probably. Like, I just...
You think the guy that was saying he was a time traveler...
I think there's a way to prove it.
That's just an example.
I think he could prove it. He could prove it easier if he was from the future. But if he was from the past, I think there's ways that he could probably prove it as well.
Okay, let's go around the room. Time travel, has that ever happened in the history of human? Has anyone ever gone back or gone to the future and come back? Beckett?
No.
Vicky?
No.
Denny's?
I have trouble with time travel. And the only reason being is that...
You got trouble with a lot of these theories.
Yeah, well, I mean, some of them are just tough. I mean...
No, you're right.
Time paradox is such a... I love time travel. I would love nothing more. I love the concept of time travel. I'll watch any movie that includes time travel. I love it. I love the theory. But time paradox just negates almost everything. That you can't exist two places simultaneously.
If you could go back in time, what time period do you go to? And the history of the Earth.
I'm going to Henry VIII. I'm going to Henry VIII's
you're
court.
crazy.
Yeah, why are you going then?
You're going to be a female back then?
I'm
You're
obsessed.
already 3 strikes against you.
Your life is going to be so tough.
And then you're a psychic. They're gonna tie a rock on you, and they're gonna seek you.
Oh my gosh.
No, I have, since I was a young child, I've been obsessed with that time period. I know everything all about his wives. I have a portrait. This is a real geeky thing. I have a portrait of Catherine of Aragon, which was his first wife, who was the one who I think was, well, except for the ones that lost their head, one of the saddest stories.
There's something in my throat. Hold on. Dork.
But
I'm a
hands
dork,
down,
too.
that's where I go. And my second would be the Victorian times. I'd go back when Jack the Ripper was walking around and try to see if I can figure out who he was.
Prove who it was.
Yeah, Jack the Ripper. He's eluded police still to this day.
Yeah, he's good.
Beckett, your thoughts?
Roaring 20s.
Rowan, I can totally see you going. You great Gatsby son of a bitch.
Yeah, totally. I would totally
You
be
even
there.
have 1920s hair.
Yeah.
You can just slick it back.
Hey there, copper.
Yeah, no, 20s would be cool.
So
just,
cool.
Just the language. Hey, what's up, doll face?
There's enough technology. Like there's trains. Like the New York City's cool.
Yeah, you're right. It's
like
bars.
Everyone's like wealthy.
Yeah.
Like you know what I mean. Like
you can make it work in the 20s.
You can make it work in the 20s. Everyone's like in a tux and driving in a horse-drawn carriage.
There's air conditioning.
Air conditioning.
You go
Like,
100 years before, you're sweating your
you
ass
got the
off.
breakers going on in the 20s.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
That's a
The
good-
20s, no air conditioning though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd be in the north. I'd
Northeast.
I'd
you'd be up in
summer
New
in the
York.
Hamptons.
Gotcha.
Denny's, your time period?
To time travel, go back in time. I would probably, I'd say the 60s because I did like that era.
I can't
like
imagine
the music.
why. Yeah.
The weed
60s
wasn't
would be
that great,
cool.
though.
The weed was not. I've
Weed
heard
was not that good.
They have a term for the weed back in the '60s, old man weed, because it's just what your old man smoked. It's
Yeah.
not like what they
I would
got in
go-
the market today.
I'd want to be like 25 in 1973. I think would be like the prime spot.
Why 73?
Well, I just love the music of the late 60s to the early 70s, man. I could totally be in one of those bands. And just, I love the free spiritedness.
You can tell the Diddies and I both have thought about this before.
Oh, yeah. I agree. I actually agree with both of you on this one. I do not agree with Vicky.
20s would be rough, man. There's a lot of glitz and glam to the 20s, so there's a lot of dark shit
There
in
is.
the 20s.
I would want to be.
But I'm not. But yeah.
You want to be well off in the 20s.
Yeah, I mean, what are the
I'm
rules
a
of
white
this?
male in the 20s. You know. Like,
I personally.
in the United States.
I would like to be if I could go back in time, I'd like to go back in dinosaur time.
Really?
Yes.
Why?
And you say, I'm going to get killed, you're going to get stomped
my
on by a
gosh.
dinosaur.
I'm a
That's
complete-
the only one worse than
Sounds like
Henry
a
VIII.
bad Jurassic
I
Park
talk
movie.
out of both sides of
Did
my
you see
mouth.
Jurassic Park?
Yes. I just want to know what the hell is going on, man. I just want to see, because we've had all these stories and all of this history, and I just read an article even yesterday that they're now saying, and not that they even know now, but they're saying dinosaurs didn't roar.
Oh, that's a big thing. That dinosaurs never was even a.
They didn't even roar.
Oh, you're talking about they didn't roar.
They didn't roar. They more like quacked like a duck. They were the way they were built.
I've always thought dinosaurs were based on birds, not lizards.
So my point is, and yeah, I mean we can get the.
So I like that.
Yeah, we just get it wrong all the time. Even with NASA, even with space, even with our own damn ocean. We as humans, your boy Einstein, he got shit wrong. And for 30 to 50 years, we think that one theory is the right thing. And, oh, yeah, that's the way we got to do it. And then we find out, oh, yeah, they were wrong on that one. We don't know.
He batted 900, though.
He batted like 850. He wasn't perfect
And
either.
on some crazy stuff, too.
No, he was. And I'm not taking away Einstein, you know.
So are you talking dinosaur time, like when dinosaurs roamed before people?
Yes.
You're talking like you want to see like the.
Yes, because I also have a theory that is possibly when aliens might have come down here, only just because there was nothing, there was no threat. This might have been this big utopian place that somewhere from another planet would want to check out.
Well, for sure, maybe originally. I mean, even now, I mean, it's not that shabby. But
No, but there's stuff here that humans have done that piss people off. I mean, we as a species can't get along.
Yeah.
With just our opinions on politics. You think we're gonna get along with, just
a third party.
Oh yeah,
I hear
forget
ya.
about that.
That's why it'd be great if they're way smarter and advanced to us, and they just like tell all of us just
They're like the
sit down
ultimate
and shut up.
smuggy
What, the aliens?
Yeah.
I don't think they're dumber.
No, not if
Well,
they're coming
I mean,
here.
if they're traveling that.
If they're coming
distance.
here.
I think it's like anything. I think there is. I just don't believe there's one alien species. I think that there is
Probably multiple. Yeah,
different
absolutely.
shit for
totally
yeah.
different ones.
We could have been visited by many different species.
Yeah.
There's like the amoeba type of species that
Maybe they're having a war.
exactly.
Oh yeah, like the amoebas that we can't even see could be like conflicting, and we just don't know that world because it's so foreign to us.
As humans and the way we are on Earth. Is war? Is that a man-made concept? Are we a species that just can't get along? And
Well,
is
look
there
at-
another species that are like war?
Well, if
What
you're
is this?
religious, you think that started in the Garden of Eden. Right? Like that was like original sin. Like everything was
Yeah.
perfect, to your point. And then
Don't quiz me on the Bible.
Introduce
I will
temptation.
get things wrong on the Bible.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, animals by nature attack each other, defend their territory. So I would imagine that's innate in everybody.
That's a good point. But again, these are all entities and beings on the Earth plane. See what I'm saying? This is how we roll on Earth.
Yeah.
How do we know in some other?
Oh, they might have figured it out. They might have a better system. I mean, ours is just based on how we started, and you could even see the resistance now with the new replacing the old. People don't like change.
you don't like change.
They
So-
don't. They don't like change. I mean, I know. As a person, I guess I don't. If I'm comfortable in my way of living, and I'm not talking about even social change. I'm talking more about just changing your routine. At that level, people get crabby. If we change anything on our show,
Oh, if you're
people get
driving and there's an
pissed.
accident and you're 30 minutes late, that's throwing off your entire day.
Yeah, people don't like their schedule. If something, and it always comes back down to what is your personal agenda. If it's screwing up my agenda, it's
Yeah.
going to affect you. It just
Right.
depends on what
Well,
humans, man.
So you say aliens are intelligent, which I would agree with. They would have to be to get here. But don't you think with intelligent, you would come with like strong emotions as well? Because I mean, emotions serve you at a guttural level to let you know. So if aliens have emotions, you would imagine if they're very smart, they would also be very smuggy, or they're very confident in what they're doing. So I mean, if they came here, you would think they'd be able to use that reasoning to decide whether they wanted to communicate with us or not.
What do you think, Vicky? Is he talking some sense over here?
To a degree, but I'm thinking that the more emotion that you have, because I know I struggle with the logical part of myself, which is my brain, and then my heart, and I second guess things because of my heart and my brain.
that's
so they would be
because
in,
Are you more logical or more emotional?
I think I'm more logical. Believe it or not.
Denny's more logical or more emotional?
Definitely logical. I rarely roll on emotion.
Beckett, logical or emotional?
Logical. So when I get into an emotional zone, I don't know how to act.
See, I'm way more
That's
emotional.
funny.
I
So
think.
do you technically theorize that emotions would make are actually holding us back?
Yeah.
That's why
Yes.
we
I
get,
think,
Yes.
I
we
think
get
more
bruised
intelligent
egos.
Yeah.
I think that as a species, and I've said this before, we spend so much time, and it halts. It screeches everything to a friggin' halt. My feelings are hurt. Make me feel better about my feelings.
Oh, yeah.
Tell me I'm upset. I mean, just take a relationship.
And make that your world.
About how shit just can't progress because your feelings are hurt. And I'm not throwing any stones because I without a doubt lacked getting progress in my life because of emotions. But as a species, we are so like that. We are so. Not to say that there's not great people, because there's great people in this earth. I believe that, but as a species, we're just kind of self-centered. We want our way. Even the most kindest person, you're still gonna find that ego creeping in there and saying, "Nope, you want to do it your way. You want to do it your way," and that I think that slows down progress.
Totally.
If you can't get emotion out of the way for negative shit.
So you could speculate that technically, if you want to get real crazy, you could speculate that there's multiple existences of humans at different places far enough where we can't see each other, but each one has a slightly different variable than the other. On Earth, we have intellect and emotions. On the other one, they possibly only have emotions. On the other one, they possibly only have intellect.
Good point.
And maybe we're just being studied.
And I don't want anyone to think that I'm downing on emotions that humans have. I think a lot of great things happen with emotions. Sure. You try to end poverty because it hurts you emotionally. You try to be creative because emotionally you want to get pain out of there. I just think a lot of times.
That's the human experience, so that's what's great about the human experience. It's a double-edged sword, and it hurts on the way down, but it's great on the way up.
You have to,
but if not, we're just robots, Like,
well, you have to have the yin and the yang. If you don't know what the bad is, you never know what the good is.
Totally.
I mean, you need both of them.
Well, yeah, I could see a species coming down and just being non-emotional and very
like
intellectual.
Vulcan.
Yeah, like a Vulcan. Yeah, hello. We have to do this. Take emotions out. Let's kill this man because blah, blah, blah.
Because it makes sense in the order of things,
yes.
Negating emotions or personal attachment to any person or thing.
I love emotions, but they can without a doubt hinder you.
So then you think if they advance to a point, what is there? They just continually advance for no sort of gain from that. Like if we do something good, hit a baseball or whatever over a fence, you get that emotion, that rush. So then why would an intelligent species without emotions try to, and I'm not trying to get too deep in here.
Get deep, dude. I love
just
this.
Saying, but like, why wouldn't they, why would they keep achieving then? And if they're not getting some sort of personal satisfaction from it?
Well, you can look at the trajectory of just the human race and how we've progressed from cave people to where we are today, and how, generally speaking, there's still some really crappy things that are going on in this world, but oppression throughout the world has progressively, I think you could make a case, has gotten better.
Oh yeah,
like in terms of like there's less oppression. Like women are getting more equal rights with men across the world. Slavery's being ended. It still exists in the world, but like I feel like emotions cause it to get better. Overall. And I think if you compare us to where we are now as a human race, our emotions and our intelligence has made us become better.
You could relate that on the same vibe, though, of that our technology is allowing us to communicate faster, too. Over time, we've been getting better at communicating, starting off with, bleeps with Morse code, all the way to the point now where we can call our grandma on FaceTime.
Yeah.
So now we can communicate faster, the message will get out quicker, thus results would happen faster.
So I'm going to ask you a very deep philosophical question, and there's not going to be a right answer. And this is a question I've asked myself and my mom and dad growing up as a kid, and I've heard many different answers. Vicky, I'll ask you first. Why do you think we are here? What's the purpose of all of this?
Oof, that's the heaviest question ever.
It's like the meaning of life question.
Oh, it's so heavy.
But I mean, it's something I think about every day of my life, and I don't see how people don't think about that. Why are we here? What's the purpose? What's the point of this?
I'll take it to start. So what I think is that whether we talked about Freemasons, they do believe whatever it's God or whatever religion are. I do believe in a higher power, something out there greater than us. So if you believe in that, then whoever was our creator, that higher power, said because perfect, as much as people don't want to admit this, perfect's boring.
It is.
Oh, it's terrible.
People think they want perfect, but they don't. They don't want perfect. They want to achieve goals. Like every solution has a problem,
Oh yeah.
So what I think is that he's like, here, I'm going to give you the opportunity, whoever that person that you believe in or that entity that you believe in, to build your own sandcastle. Because us walking around in this perfection utopia, like as humans, we don't want that.
We just talked about this the other
Well,
day.
yeah, I mean, you
So
can
I think that's the meaning of life. Like you have your own journey, and he's like, here's Mario Brothers or Zelda, and like you get to go through life and navigate in free will your own life and your own experience. And I think that's.
But why though? You see what I'm saying? Why do we have all of that?
why are
Well, I
we
think you have
granted
to-
that freedom?
Yes, why are we granted? What's
That's predicated, I think, maybe on you believing in the spirit, right? And so if you're up there floating around in this perfect utopia, the creator is giving you an opportunity to come down and have this experience.
Denny's, your thoughts on the bomb question?
Just the meaning of life.
Well,
Why
just-
are we here?
Yeah, just I mean, what I think the human brain always says, okay, I've got a task. It's A to B. I know what at the end game is. I'm here to hit home runs, and that's my goal.
We have to ask why.
Yeah, what?
Yeah, I get it.
It helps win the game, and it helps get people in the seats. What is
Well,
this?
see, that's where I think the problem lies, is in that question, because technically, since we were born and raised all through life, we're told, do this, you get this. We're very built on a reward system.
Yes.
You get good grades, you get A's, then you get ice cream. So we're taught that our whole life. So of course we're gonna think in a similar way of that. Yeah, if you're good through your whole life, your end game will be this great place. So I mean, that's a great reward system for you. But ultimately, I mean, as cynical as it sounds, I mean, we're just I think we're a victim of circumstance, man. We exist. We have a little bit of superiority. I mean, and also, honestly, you can even say intellect is a curse more than a blessing, because all the other animals exist, live their lives, and they just exist and contribute to the earth. Whereas humans, we're always trying to figure out why we're contributing, what we're contributing, and creating more and stuff, when actually we're probably just existing and then ceasing to exist. I would
Wow.
imagine.
Okay.
I think it's very heavy on the energy, man, going back into the earth. We're just keeping the cycle going.
All right, Vicky.
I think we're someone's children. And I think just like those of us here that have children, with the exception of birth control that failed, we have them for a reason. We watch our children grow. We watch them have children. And it's all the process. And the creator might just have the same process. He likes to watch his children. He likes to have children.
I think that's a real good place to stop. 'Cause
Well,
that's-
what's your thoughts?
I think that I don't know why we're here. All I know is all I can do is speak from the heart and say I love being alive. I love having moments like this. I want there to be an afterlife. I want there to be something really special. I'd love to see my mom again. I'd love to see anyone that's passed on again. Why all that is in place, I just don't know. And since a kid, I've always wanted to know. You're never gonna get the answer. It's weird. You have sex. You grow in a belly, you
Yeah.
show up, or this floating ball. The human brain wants to know, okay, there was a beginning, there hasn't been, there's a reason why this all happened.
For
Why did this happen? Why did this start up? What was the point? And I don't think that's a cynical thought. I want.
No, you should ask that
I
question.
want there to be an afterlife. I do believe in its spiritual side. I just do not have the answers. That's all.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's an impossible question. I guess you could take solace in the fact that nobody finds the answer out until the final moment.
I got to a place in my life where I finally found solace of admitting that I don't know. I'm not going to ever know. Almost take a page out of your book, Beckett. You're on this adventure. Do the best you can.
Yeah.
Try to
just-
treat people, try to have adventure in your life. Try to have that carpe diem attitude.
Yeah.
Thirst for living. No, but by not screwing anybody over.
Yeah.
And I also do believe in a sense with what Vicky's saying. I think maybe someone created us. What that is, I don't know. But I think I think that they enjoy watching what they created.
Yeah.
And
Absolutely.
that's all I could probably go on.
It's like an ant farm.
In a philosophy I try to include in my life is that I forgot who said this, but it really resonated, to try and leave the world just a little bit better
Yeah.
than
Than
when
when
you
it
got
started,
here. Like
yeah. I
whatever you do, just try, if that's starting a charity or if that's rescuing an animal or whatever that is, like if you have that in your mind as you navigate life, I think that you live a nice life.
Out of the three philosophies, the one I don't want is Denny's, but
Yeah.
that's only because it's just I want to be able to go to that next level and remember moments like this
Well,
when
I
I'm
mean,
enjoying,
Your energy could transfer back into the earth and into our existence, and you could be with the essence of your
That's such
mother.
semantics, though. That's like, you're still here, man. But I'm not gonna. If I'm doing that, if I grow back as a plant or whatever, I'm helping you. I'm not gonna remember what happened.
Yeah, but I
here.
mean, you might not necessarily be a plant. I mean, that's just applying it to something simple. I'm
Shorthand
saying
for an example.
An energy of just existing on this. I mean, everything has a vibrance, an existence, a soul, I guess you could say. Almost everything. I would imagine all things have it.
Oh yeah, and I'm not at all when I said that.
For
I'm
sure,
not saying
for
your
sure. No, it's
philosophy
pretty
is wrong.
bleak.
No,
I get it.
Because there's a part of me, and I hate to admit it, that does believe what you say. Everything you guys have said, there's a part of it I do believe. There's days where I'm like, man, maybe this is just it, and I will never get the answers. I don't like having those feelings, but I'd be a bull-faced liar to say that I don't have those kind of feelings.
For sure.
sometimes.
I think you should have those feelings. I think recognizing the feelings is good. Questioning, thinking. I think all that stuff is very good for you because, I mean, ultimately, the cool thing is, I guess you could say, and it's not that cool, is that everybody at some point is going to pass on.
Yeah.
So there's no one exempt from that feeling, and everybody just deals with it differently, whether it's being distracted by petty things. I feel ultimately you should just try to do things that make you feel good personally, obviously if they don't hurt anyone else.
Yeah.
But just things that make you feel personally, because ultimately at the end, I mean, you're only taking one thing with you, is your essence.
Yeah, they said the one person you got to live with your entire life is yourself.
Yeah. So I mean, that's what you're taking with you. So
That's
you might
why I
as well-
say try to like yourself because it's the one son of a bitch you have to stay with 24 hours a day.
I say just try to get to the end and be happy with what you did.
Well, guys, I love today's podcast. I don't know if anyone listening did, but I loved it. I thought it was very, very deep, very good stuff.
I don't know if we got into too much homework. Should we make the next podcast like super homework? Everybody's just homework.
Well, I know we got to be out of here by
Yeah,
1,
I
and it's
know.
already got over an hour. I mean, this podcast flew by, but great contributions from everybody. Well, we'll delve into the homework next week.
Cool.
Yeah, I think it's great. And we're going to be planning our ghost trip. I know people have been asking about that. We're going to get video. We're trying to take the Weird and Whatever podcast to that next level because we just looked at the numbers of our podcast, and they are very healthy, and they're getting stronger and bigger, and more people are listening. No offense, more than the Bachelor podcast.
Nice.
But
Nice.
yeah, and people love your philosophy. I mean, I think everyone's got their own little
It's
crew.
different perspectives.
Yeah, people can relate to you, Ryan. People can relate to Vicky, and same thing with you, Denny. So thank you to everyone's opinions. Thank you to Angelica, who is now our official producer of the
Thank
Weird
you,
and Whatever.
Angelica.
Go ahead, Denny's, play us out.
Perfect.
Plug your Twitter real quick.
My Twitter is Ryan S. Beckett, and I got a thing tomorrow night for Alzheimer's Fund at Dubliner with Whitney Burbank and Josh Cohen. And we have one other, I think, celebrity judge. So we're judging a karaoke contest if anyone's interested.
Great. And where's this at?
It's at Dubliner in Meisner Park in Boca. I think it's 5 to 7, but I'll post it on Facebook.
Very
love it.
cool. That
Great.
place is boss.
Yeah.
Vicky, anything to plug?
Email contact@pointparanormal.com, and we also on Twitter @pointpfl.
And just know the Jason Pennington page that has the Weird and Whatever icon on that as the background, that is the official Weird and Whatever. So if you have any emails or anything, send them to that. You can also send them what's our KVJ one, Denny's?
You can send it to mail@kvjshow.com.
And you're at
Producer Denny's, and definitely send us any questions you guys have. All those questions are awesome.
Yeah, even if we don't read them, they are somehow
Sometimes they get
morphing
incorporated
into our
in.
conversations for sure. And I'm at Jason Bigfoot. Thank you guys for listening. We love you all. And
Bigfoot is real.
again, I love it.